I'm sure they need a lot of SEO help. His core belief is that all marketing should be measured. And so David is going to help us learn his secrets for setting up a WordPress site for SEO success. While this won't guarantee SEO results, it will set your clients up for optimal Google love. Welcome, David.
All right, nice to see you guys. I have to admit that I had a rough week. I've been doing SEO for about 10 years now, about 4 years on my own. And I should stand in front of the mic so you can hear me. But over this time, this rough week is not the first rough week I've had, because sometimes I feel like I'm paid to fight with developers. And that's because I think sometimes the SEO team and the development or design team have a little friction. And this whole presentation is a plea. It's a plea that we really are on the same team. We want the same thing for our clients. Hello? Okay. We want to build a better product. If we can build a better website for our clients, they will pay us more money. If we can build a better product for our clients, I can get started on my marketing activities faster. If we can build a better product for our clients, I don't have to crack open your code and break it, spending your precious time cleaning up my mess. I am not a developer. I just pretend to be one sometimes. I don't build websites. I don't want your website building business. I want to take a website and help the client market their business through it. And so it's in my interest that you build a little bit better product so that the client benefits. And my hope is that if you build a little bit better product, a little bit better website, the client makes so much money they come back to you with actually a budget this next time, or being able to afford all the features they need. So can we agree that we all want the same thing for our clients? Is that fair? I mean, if not, let me try to convince you. But okay, so this is like the SEO talk, and I'll admit too that I roll my eyes when I hear someone talk about SEO. Because I find that this is a catchphrase, a buzzword that people use all the time, and it's kind of lost its meaning. It's almost like you can't sell anything on the web or web-related unless these three letters are associated with it. And because of that, I think a lot of times SEO gets a bad rap. But let me just summarize SEO, in case for some reason you don't know that SEO means search engine optimization, really simply means connecting customers to what they're looking for. That's all we're doing. Someone is looking for what you have to offer, and SEO makes that connection. It's not that complicated. But we do need to make a couple caveats, because there's certain things SEO is not. And one of the things, SEO is not all web marketing. This is a way to promote a website or promote a business through a website, but it is not all website marketing. My clients kind of make the same mistake sometimes. You know, David's our SEO, he does our Facebook ads. Oh, I do Facebook ads, but that's not SEO, right? SEO is about helping a website perform better in the organic search results from Google and Bing and DuckDuckGo and all the search engines. You know, sometimes people say, oh, David, our SEO does our email. Well, I do email marketing, but that's not SEO. We need to make sure we're using the right terms. So the advice we're talking about today is really specific for helping a website show up better in Google that will in turn connect with the customers that are looking for you. Another thing SEO is not is tricking Google. You know, we are not chasing down the latest rumor, the latest secret sauce, the latest baloney thing you read in some blog from somewhere. Google, I have a big respect for Google. Some of the smartest people I've ever met work there. I'm not so arrogant to think I can pull the wool over their eyes. They've seen everything. If we stop thinking about how we can trick Google and just try to do the right thing, I think you'll find out that we will outlast the fools following the latest rumor. We're not going to summarize SEO to, oh, this one latest tactic is everything. No, there are 200 or more. We don't even know, but about 200 algorithm ranking factors. Some of them are more important than others. Google won't tell us which. So let's not like oversimplify this or, oh my gosh, we have to have HTTPS or we won't rank. Not really. That's a thing. It may be more important or less, but let's not do our clients injustice by focusing on the latest trick. Let's do things the right way, and we'll find SEO works. You know, another thing SEO is not is set it and forget it. I hate it when clients say, will you SEO my site? You know, it doesn't really work that way. Google's changing the algorithm 500, 600, 700 times a year. Like, it's always changing. Now, some of those are pretty small changes, and I'm not an algorithm chaser. I'm not trying to, oh my gosh, they tweaked something yesterday and I must tweak all. No, let's just do the right things. But we can't just promise an SEO'd site. I don't even know what that means. Let's think about SEO as an ongoing campaign. That's done right. So I'm not trying to say that by setting up your site for SEO, you're done. Google likes fresh content. It likes new stuff. We have to have an ongoing SEO campaign if we really want to see SEO success. But building a good foundation is where we should start. And that's what this talk is about. How to set up a better product for our clients so that from day one, they're starting from the right place. We're not guaranteeing ranking. Run away from anybody who does that. We're getting it foundation set up right so we can even begin a campaign. Now, SEO can be confusing and intimidating, but I like to say it only focuses on really 4 elements. SEO fundamentally needs to be measurable. In fact, as a marketing rule, we're not doing marketing if we can't measure it. This is the power of web marketing and digital marketing. We're not throwing a billboard up and hoping someone sees it. We should be able to measure the impact of everything we do. Second thing about SEO is, can Google crawl and index our pages? If Google can't crawl and index our pages, we can't rank because Google can't even see what's there to rank. Third, content. Are we speaking our customers' language? Are we talking about the things that our customers are searching for? And that's a major part of SEO. And finally, what do other websites say about us? What do the links to our site do to affect our SEO? They're a major part of it. Now, if you're building websites professionally, you might look at these and say, hey, most of this is outside of the scope of what customers are paying me when they say build a website. But what I'm trying to convince you today is that let's together build a better product for our clients that considers these 4 essential parts to SEO. And the client will benefit, their business will benefit, everybody wins. So this is my plea. Now, let's start with step 1 of SEO, measuring things. I like to say to my clients, we can try any old crazy idea you have, but we're going to measure it. Same thing goes for SEO. We must know how to measure it. And that's why Whenever we launch a site, we need to have some sort of analytics on it. Now, I know some of you have clients and you're like, you know what, I just built this site. I just get it, I don't even care if there's analytics on it. But I'm asking you to take a little time and add some analytics. They might not want it now. But if you built a good site for them, they're going to wish they had it later. It's not like it's hard. I mean, just throw in Monster Insights, put an analytics account, and you're done. They may never look at it, but they're going to be grateful for you to have set it up. It hurts me when a client's business has been running for a couple of years. They say, okay, finally things are rolling. It's time to have a marketing budget. And nobody set up analytics on the site. All right? If it's this simple, let's just do our clients a little favor and set this up. And they will benefit for it. Now, if you really want to go a step further, install Tag Manager. This has several advantages. I mean, you can use a plugin like this. This is what I use. It's better even if you can hard code Tag Manager into your theme, because then we have even more abilities with Tag Manager. And let me tell you, as WordPress developers, if you use Tag Manager, you decrease the chance of me opening up your site and breaking it, because I can just add and subtract marketing analytics. I can add and subtract features and things like that without breaking your code. Now you hate me less because you're not cleaning up my mess. Because of Tag Manager, the site can be updated easily. We're not breaking things. Please, just take a little, even if you install Tag Manager and it's empty, at least we have a bucket in which we can throw our analytics tools. And I don't have to break your site, because I don't want to do that either. While we're talking about analytics, install Search Console, right? There's a lot of really big benefits for your clients to have Search Console installed. Again, they might not ever look at it, but you are going to be doing them a favor later. For the effort it takes to do Search Console, they're going to benefit immensely. Now, here's a little bonus. I hope you all have website management agreements with all of your clients. I don't want to manage their website. I want you guys to do it. You guys are better at that than me. But if you've installed Google Analytics, Search Console, maybe using Tag Manager, it's going to make your life easier in managing their websites. So even if they're not doing marketing, you're going to benefit from having these analytics tools set up to help make sure their website's still running. While we're talking about measurements, we need to talk about the goal. Every website needs to have a purpose they're trying to accomplish. I know some of your clients say, I just need a brochure site. No, they don't. They need a website that actually is able to accomplish something. Why spend the money on a website that's just a brochure, that's not using the power of the web? Every website should be trying to accomplish a specific goal. You know, maybe it's to sell a product online. Maybe it's to generate leads. Maybe it's to get a phone number called. Maybe it's to get people in your door of your business. There is something your client needs to accomplish. And if you, from day one of the design process, help the client work through that, you're going to deliver a better product. Now, I know you guys hate me as the SEO, so don't have to believe me. Believe what the Bible says. This is the best book I've ever read on web usability. And it specifically says you need to have a goal to your site. Like the way it puts it, it's not rocket surgery, right? What do you want a visitor to accomplish? It should be clearly obvious what you want them to do. This is probably the most frequent way I break someone's website. There's no clear goal. I've got to crack open the theme, crack open the CSS, and redesign it so that I can get the visitors to accomplish something. But if you've helped work the client through that problem before I get to it, it's a better product for them. It will pay for itself quicker, even if they're not doing a marketing campaign with me. Now, when it comes to SEO, we have to consider Google's manual review guidelines. This is something they've been releasing lately. You see, Google doesn't tell us of all the ranking factors which ones are most important. It doesn't tell us even what all the ranking factors are. But the manual review guidelines is a guide given to people Google hires to manually review the search engine results to see which websites are high quality and which are low quality. This is about as close as we're ever going to get to knowing what Google ranks a website for. Tweet me, I'll send you a copy of the latest version. It's freely available, look it up. Or tweet me, I'll be happy to give you a copy. One of the important things the manual review guideline says is a website is quality. A website's quality is connected to its ability to accomplish its goal. If a website doesn't have a goal, it does not have high quality. You need to, as the designer, as the developer of the WordPress site, deliver a better product by helping the client work through what their marketing goals, what their business goals are, what they hope to accomplish in the site. If you do that, you're going to give them a better product. Wait till later, okay? And I think they will benefit from it a lot. So SEO is about measuring results. SEO is about making sure Google can crawl and index a site. And this is where we pause for a moment and thank the WordPress gods that we work on WordPress sites. Because Google has a real easy time crawling and indexing WordPress sites, as long as you allow them to. You want to prevent me from making money? Check that box. Uncheck that box before you launch your site, right? I don't know how many clients have contacted me, oh my gosh, we just launched this beautiful new website, Google traffic tanked. That's the first thing I check. Actually, it's the second thing I check after robots.txt, because that's the other thing that happens often. Please, allow Google to index your site. Just make it part of your process to launch the site, make sure this isn't checked. It's so funny. It's like, gosh, how often it happens. That's really probably WordPress's most difficult problem when it comes to crawling and indexing a site. But what we have to understand too is that today, in the modern world, Google has moved to a mobile-first algorithm. That means when Google is looking at your site and evaluating it for how it's going to rank, it's doing it by evaluating the mobile version of your site, not the desktop version. This has a huge impact to how we even begin to design sites. Rather than building a mobile or desktop site and breaking it down to be responsive for mobile, we need to rethink the way we design a site and start from the mobile version, then add things to make it desktop. If we start from a mobile-first perspective in our design, we're going to end up building a better mobile experience and a faster mobile experience if we think about this different. Now, some of your clients are like, I don't need a mobile site. I don't have any mobile visitors. No one searches for mobile. The majority of searches are mobile across industry, right? It's so funny, all the marketing stuff I've seen from Google lately, they've released some usability examples and stuff like that. Every example Google is using these days is showing a screenshot of a phone because they know that's the way things are going. Mobile website is not that hard. A responsive mobile website is not that hard to do. We just got to think about design first from a mobile perspective. Now, Google has a million tools that are really helpful. One of it when it comes for mobile is just simply the mobile-friendly test. Yes or no, is your website mobile? Done. Now, this tool is a page-by-page basis. So sometimes what I do when I get a new client is I will run a couple of examples of every template file page and throw it in this tool just to make sure it passes the mobile-friendly test. If it doesn't, it tells you why it doesn't pass. Now you can fix it. But that's not always the easiest way to do things, but thankfully you've installed Google Search Console. And you can look and you can see all the mobile usability problems on your site. The cool thing about looking at this in a scalable way is that you'll find that you change one thing and it affects site-wide often. So if you have Search Console installed, even if, hopefully, even if the client's gone away, you can still use the data to kind of upsell them maybe. You can use the data as part of your maintenance package to help make sure that things are going on right. Now, we can't talk about mobile without talking about site speed, and we just got out of a talk about site speed that was great. But Google, and site speed is an important ranking factor. It is a ranking factor. It is not the ranking factor. Because again, we're not trying to trick Google. We're not focusing on one ranking factor. But I would argue that if there's one technical thing you do to any website that improves the result, it's going to be improve its page speed. And that is regardless of whether you're doing SEO. Most email is consumed on mobile devices. Got an email marketing campaign, and you're sending people to your website, and they can't load it fast enough on their 3G connection, bye-bye, they're gone. You're doing social media, and most of social media is consumed on mobile devices. People come to your website, great, congratulations, it's a success, except that your site's so slow, no one waits. Google says that you have 3 seconds, that the majority of people will not wait longer than 3 seconds to view a page. It says that you have 50 requests and 500 kilobytes. If you're over those on any particular page, you're going to be losing traffic. And that's not even talking about the SEO implications. That's just any old visitor to your site. So what that means is we have to work really hard to make sure our pages load fast. Now, I know we kind of talked about some of the problems with this tool in our last talk, and it's not perfect, but I really like the PageSpeed Insights tool because it's an objective benchmark. I got Gigafiber at home where I work. Things load fast. What this tool does is it kind of takes my connection speed out of it. You don't really want to measure your page speed success by time, because that's going to be very subjective based on the connection. So that's why I like the score, 0 out of 100, tell me, okay, my home page, I got work to do. Hey, it's okay. You don't have to achieve 100. It's not like Google is saying, I'm going to ban your website if you don't have 100 on your page speed score. No. Google isn't using the page speed score as a ranking factor. It's using page speed as a ranking factor. This is just a tool to help you see what is going wrong and affecting your page speed. Notice by default, Google defaults to mobile. If you were to see the desktop page speed, it's much better. Because what it's doing, when it's evaluating it, it's assuming the connection, it's actually trying to emulate a 3G mobile browser connection. And now that, I don't have a really great score. I mean, it's okay. I've seen 6. That one took well, actually, it was pretty easy because they had a 10,000 pixel wide image on their slider that contained 10 slides. And that brings up a really good point, because another thing that Google says is the fastest thing to load on any page is the element you didn't add. So sometimes you're talking about page speed. You really need to talk to your clients about, do you really need that? God forbid the CEO get involved. because then like everybody's got to do that. But sometimes CEOs give advice as commands. And some good CEOs will be like, hey, you know what? You're right. That wasn't that great of an idea. I was just throwing it out there. Some CEOs actually want you to say no to them. Help them from having enough rope to strangle themselves. Help them make decisions on what they add to their page. Will it really help them to have 10,000 pixel wide images? No, it won't. Universally, I can't think of a certain case where a 10,000 pixel, well, maybe we can. All right, point is, page speed's important. Now this is, again, a page-by-page tool. So doing a site-wide diagnosis of page speed is very difficult, but thankfully you've installed Google Analytics. And here we go. Under Behavior Speed Suggestions, we have the page speed score on every page of our site. Hey, that's pretty cool. Now I can sort this, see which are the worst examples on my site, fix them. Now, one of the problems we talked about with page speed score was that, and I've experienced this too, you put a page in, get one score, 5 seconds later you put a page in, get another, same page, get another score. This is an average over time. This kind of helps take those kind of weird variations. But the nice thing about this process of improving page speed score by looking at the score in Google Analytics, not the time. Don't look at times for page speed loading in Google Analytics. It's the worst data out there. Look at the page speed score. If you go and work from the lowest to the highest, what you'll find is that there's a couple really long pages, because somebody uploaded a massive file. Fixed, done. But as you start working through these pages, you'll find, hey, you know what? You improved this page, and suddenly all of your page speed scores went up. It's a tool to help you get faster site. Not a panacea, but this is a great way to kind of, in a scalable fashion, see what your page speed scores are, what you need to do to improve. About a year ago, I got recertified with the mobile sites certification from Google. It is so worth your time to do this. I'm not a developer. I got a ton out of it. You guys who are developers are going to get a lot more out of it. Because this is going to talk about not just mobile-friendly loading, or mobile-friendly sites. It's going to talk page speed. Things, very technical aspects of page speed that I had a hard time grasping. But you guys, the real developers, are going to get a lot more out of it. I think you'll probably find this pretty easy. Some of it pretty obvious. Worth your time to get Google's mobile sites certification. And then we're not reliant upon just using plugins. Hey, plugins can help. But if we build the site right the first time, if we build a better product, our clients are going to be benefiting from our faster site. Another issue we have when it comes to crawlability in WordPress is that sometimes we can't update the websites. And we all know what happens when someone doesn't update their website, right? It gets hacked. Google will kick a hacked website out of the index. So what that means is while we're building websites, WordPress websites for our clients, we need to make sure it can be updated in the future. Sometimes that means using a child theme to build the site. That's the proper way to do it. Now, warning, child themes do add extra load and tend to load slower. But if you have to crack open WordPress in order to accommodate whatever the client really specifically needs, you need to ask yourself an important question that I won't say on WordPress TV. You might not need to use WordPress. Right? Not a panacea. If their needs are so specific, you might have to look at a different platform. I love WordPress. I think it can do a lot of things. But if you end up cracking it up in so much you can't even update it, your site's going to get hacked. You're going to have to do a reconsideration request with Google. Their emails will bounce out of Gmail. It's not fun. It's expensive, not just to fix. It's expensive as the client's losing business because their customers aren't finding them on Google. It's expensive as their emails get bounced out and put in spam folders. They're not even able to connect with their, it's terrible. So please do what you can to make sure the WordPress site can be constantly updated, and then go to my buddy Steve's talk on security later this afternoon. He'll tell you the rest. So, okay, we're working our way. SEO is pretty simple. It's about measuring the results. Can Google crawl our sites? Now we're going to get to content. And I could do a whole nother talk on what to say on your website, but I'm really talking to developers. And some of you are like, David, I develop websites. I'm not responsible for what they say on their website. But there are development design decisions we make on sites that affect how the content is rendered that we need to consider, especially as it relates to WordPress. And the first one is we got to have words on the page. I know we like images. I know that we're a visual society. I am too. But a picture does not speak 1,000 words. If a picture of a lawnmower on your site, I don't know if you sell lawnmowers, if you repair lawnmowers, if you mow lawns for a living, or you're filing a class action lawsuit against John Deere. It's just a picture. You need to have words on the page for Google to understand what the page is about. And so what that means is, as you're designing it, please make sure you account for the fact that we're going to have to put words on the page. Now, every time I say this to designers, they say, how many? And the answer is, as many as are necessary. Because if I tell you how many, you're going to design it, and that amount of word is only going to fit on the page. Sometimes we need 500. I'd say that's a bare minimum on any page. Sometimes we need 1,000. So please design the pages so that we could have 1,000 words if we needed to. Now, you don't have to have a vomit of 1,000 words to rank on Google. You don't. Break it up. Insert images in the middle. Make it look engaging and interesting, but we still have to have words on the page. Google doesn't catch drifts. Ultimately, we have to have words if we want Google to give us Google love. But you don't have to believe me, believe the Bible. Right? He explicitly says words and design are not incompatible concepts. In fact, words add credibility to a page. So when someone lands on the page, they know they've reached the right page. Sometimes designers think words are incompatible with good design. Don't believe me, believe the Bible. Now, this is true confession time, since we're becoming friends. I'm so sorry that I've threatened you with the Google duplicate content penalty. I'm so sorry. I've used it to manipulate developers all the time. I've lied to you. Google does not have a duplicate content penalty. But I'm not trying to make excuses. That was wrong. But when we have duplicate content on a site, Google then chooses which of the pages to serve in the search results. We don't want that. We want to tell Google this is the page that you want to serve in the search results. Because if we've designed the site for a goal in mind, frankly, the landing page is probably the best page for it. And mostly what I'm talking about here when it comes to WordPress is archival pages. Have you ever seen a blog where the entirety of the blog post appears on the post page, on each category page that has been categorized for that post, each tag page in which it's been categorized, the date page, the year page, the month page, all have the entirety of the blog post. That is the duplicate content that's really problematic on WordPress sites. Now, besides the fact that I'm not going to get to whoever the idiot was who told people, hey, just tag your page in WordPress and it will rank in Google. Man, what a terrible piece of stupid advice. Forget about that. You need to set up what WordPress calls the excerpt. This is something you simply add to your functions.php file that makes sure that whenever there's an archival page, date page, category tag page, it only shows a little bit of the post. Then Google doesn't want to serve those pages in Google because the better page is the post. And now that post page is designed to accomplish the goal, is therefore higher quality, therefore performs better. I mean, we have category and archive page. These are important pages from a Google perspective. It helps Google find these deep posts. But we don't really want them to be landing pages because they're really not designed to accomplish a goal. They're a navigational element, not a landing page element. Now, there's another way to account for excerpts. If you don't have access to the functions.php file, you can literally go in every post and use the more feature. You know, you've seen that at the very top of the WYSIWYG. But when you do that a few hundred times in a few hundred blog posts, you're going to crack open the functions.php and fix that real quick. It's a lot easier way to do it, right? If you can't do it, there's an alternative in WordPress, but once you do that a few hundred times, you're going to be changing. You're figuring out how you can change it. Well, while we're talking about content, right now we have to talk about schema. And schema is simply a way to encode content so Google understands what it's about. You know, Google doesn't pick up on drifts. We put a number, a word, comma, a city, a state, a number. And we know, as human beings, it's an address. Google doesn't know that as clearly. If we can use schema to encode the page with the proper syntax, now Google knows it's an address, and we've helped Google out. Now, there's several forms of schema that could go on almost every website. I mean, the simplest one is the website schema. Yeah, there's a schema to tell Google they are visiting a website. Well, okay, it seems pretty silly. But there are other forms of web content. There's video, there's PDFs, like whatever. And so how much of a big deal is it to put website schema on there? Well, it might not be, but if you use website schema properly and take a couple extra steps, now if Google determines your website is high quality enough, you might get a search bar for your website in the Google search results. People can search your website from Google. That's cool. But, mind you, not everybody's going to qualify because you have to be a high enough authority site to get that. So another schema almost everyone can add to their site is organization. Most of our clients are not, Bubba's blog. It's Bubba's business. So website's representing an organization. Which organization? We use website organization schema to say to Google, this website is associated with this organization. You guys are aware of the knowledge graph, on the right-hand side of the search results, where it lists information after a branded search about the company? Sometimes it'll insert stuff. You want to control that? You control it through the organization schema on your site. You can even control what phone numbers appear. You can control what social media profiles appear in the Google search results for branded search if you use organization schema. Another schema almost every website can use is breadcrumb schema. You're aware of breadcrumbs introduced by Amazon years ago. The idea of on the page, it tells you where you are in the navigation. You're on this page, which is a subpage of this page, which is a subpage of this page, right? Well, if you use schema to say to Google, this is breadcrumbs, what Google will do in the search engine results is not just list your URL, but will list the organizational structure of your website, which does a couple things. Number one, you stand out in the search engine results better because you have breadcrumbs, not just another URL. But I think from a marketing perspective, I love breadcrumbs because what it does is it says, hey, we're bigger than just this because we've organized our site well, and now we can see the different subsets. And you can see this company offers a lot. Look at all the different categories of stuff. This is just one category of things they offer. Now, why these 3 schemas are so important? It's because they are brain dead easy to add to your WordPress site. Thank you, Yoast. Yoast adds website schema by default to your WordPress site. You fill out a couple lines of information, literally 2, the name of your organization and the logo. Now you've got organization schema on your site. Thank you, Yoast. Do a little hacking on your theme. Yoast makes it really easy to support breadcrumb schema. You know, everybody loves Yoast because they like the yellow, green, red light. Who cares? That's stupid. Like, I don't know how many fights I've had with clients. Oh my gosh, my color is not green. So what? Move on. Yoast does this really well, and that is worth it. If you launch a site with Yoast, you will deliver a better product because you are inherently just telling Google, this is what this is. If you deliver this better product, they're going to benefit from it. Now, when it comes to schema, I can't recommend enough the Google Structured Data Testing tool. What I love about this, you can put it in a URL at a time. It pulls all the schema on that page and tells you, here's a problem. You forgot this element. This element's formatted wrong. You can troubleshoot. You can change the HTML and validate it again. Or if you want to play with your schema before you launch it on the site, you can just put a snippet of code, and Google will tell you if it's valid, and we'll be able to read it. Now, there's a more scalable way to do this. Thankfully, you've installed Search Console. In the old version of Search Console, it's still live. It will list all the schemas available on your site. Now, you can see if there are errors, if you need to fix something, what's Google reading, what's Google having a hard time reading. Now, because we're at a WordPress conference, H-entry, every website that's WordPress known to man has a struggle with this H-entry schema. So what? Who cares? I've actually fixed it before on my site. For some reason it broke again. I don't know why. Like, it's just a weird quirk of WordPress. Move on. What's more important is these other schemas that you do. And you can see several other schemas here that you could potentially add to a site. Local business schema, encode your address as an address so Google knows what that is. You might find your Google My Business listing ranks better because it's a verification of the name, address, and phone number, the NAP. Article markup. We have WordPress blogs. Great. Let's tell Google what are the articles. The strangest thing about the article markup is it's a rare situation where Google actually says your website content will rank better if you have article markup. It's strange. I've really never seen anything so explicit in any Google documentation. Take a little work. You're going to have to put a little HTML in your theme, in your post theme template. But sounds good to me. Yeah, that's all the benefits you can have from schema. It's well worth your time to help Google understand your site. And while we're talking about content, we need to talk about what we call EAT. Expertise, authority, and trust. This comes from the Google Manual Search Guidelines. When it's establishing what makes a website high quality or low quality, the answer is expertise, authority, and trust. When you're designing your client's sites, incorporate elements that brag about your clients. Some of your clients don't like to brag about themselves. Help them. What are the certifications they have? Where do they go to school? Who says these guys are experts? Incorporate this into site design and establish that your clients have the expertise, authority, and trust. According to the Manual Review Guidelines, this is how websites are deemed high or low quality. So make sure you incorporate these elements into your site, make it obvious and easy, and you'll benefit your clients because you'll have delivered a better product. So Now we're for the final piece. SEO is about measuring our results. Can Google crawl and index our page? What does the content say? Let's talk about links. So links are what other websites say about our site. And I know a lot of you developers are like, that is totally outside the scope of what I do. And it's probably right. But certain development decisions you make as a developer will affect how links are credited to your sites. Google credits links based on the URL. So, if you launch a new site and any of the URLs have changed, please deliver a better product. Set up a 301 redirect for every URL change. Even if there is a slight change in the URL, you've moved from non-SSL to SSL. Now there's an S in the URL. It's a totally different URL in Google's mind. You need a 301 redirect to make sure every visitor is now going to the SSL version of every page. For some reason, you decide to remove the triple W from your site, set up a 301 redirect. Make sure that every page is accessible without. Ideally, if you launch a site, you keep all the URLs the same. If you can't for some reason, use a 301 redirect to maintain the authority that Google is attributing to each URL. The second biggest source of traffic drops of websites I get from clients after a redesign is that we're not 301 redirects set up. The first one is they didn't uncheck the box because they didn't allow Google to write. Now, which pages need to be 301'd? All of them. And thank you, you've installed Google Search Console, because this is going to tell you under their excluded section, there's several categories of URLs that have been excluded from Google. Some of them are hard 404s. Those need to be redirected. In fact, as a best practice, I check this at least once a month. Every month I go in, Search Console, what's a hard 404? Do I need to redirect that or not? Set up a 301 redirect and go. Because Google is attributing credit from other websites linking to a site. And if you don't have the if that old URL goes to a 404 page, you get no credit for that link. If it goes by a 301, you get full credit for that link. Please don't use 302 redirects. Google does not pass authority using 302 redirects. Make sure it's a 301. We also have to talk about canonicity, which basically is every piece of content should be accessible only through one URL. Oftentimes, this doesn't happen a lot with WordPress, thankfully, but like if you have a sorting mechanism that involves a parameter and the content of the page is changed around in order, but the parameter is doing that, that is a different URL with the same content. It's just reordered on the page. Oftentimes in e-commerce sites, this happens. To compensate for that, to tell Google which version of the page we want, we need a canonical tag. Again, Yoast does it by default. Just put on Yoast and you're done. Right. That's probably the easiest way to do it. But that's SEO. And if you follow kind of these ideas, you're going to set up your clients with success. You're going to deliver a better product that's going to help their business grow. They're going to come back to you because their website was so successful that now they can really afford the website they really dreamed of. But let's not pretend that the site has been SEO'd, even if you did all this stuff. This is just the beginning. This is the start, the foundation. There's a long way more to go when it comes to SEO, but let's work together to deliver a better product that gives our clients a better beginning. Now, I was trying to think of an easy way to give to you all these tools I've mentioned here in the talk. My audit has it. Fill out an audit. I'll send you the link to all those different tools. Send me a tweet, and I'll send you the Google Search Manual Search Quality Guidelines. I'm happy to share that with you. It's not like it's a secret. I'm happy to get it to you easily. And we might I talked a little too long, but we might have some time for questions if you have them. Yeah, go ahead.
Just that one from before. Company I work for is a business to business, and I went back and looked at their users. The past 3 years, 86% on average is desktop, so they don't really have a strong mobile. Really no one is looking at their site for mobile, but would you still, in that case, recommend focusing on mobile design first and giving that more attention and bringing that score up?
Yeah. So the question is for a B2B site, and you look at the data and the majority of traffic is not mobile, would you still do mobile first? The answer is yes, because first of all, what you're measuring is what is, not necessarily what could be. Because if you have a poor mobile experience, no doubt you're getting poor mobile traffic. It could be you're seeing the effect, not the need. But also, Google is evaluating that site based on the mobile experience right now, including the mobile page speed. So if you want to, even if you're not getting mobile traffic, you need to have a good, well-built mobile site if you want to show up for those desktop searches. So what I found in my experience is that sometimes clients like this, maybe they get mobile traffic, but they don't convert on mobile. Well, I'd suggest that's because the site's built poorly for conversion on mobile. We have big, long forms that ain't no one filling out with your fat fingers on your iPhone, right? I can barely type a text message without spelling errors. And if we make it difficult, put a phone number. Click to call, done, right? Now we've made it really easy for people to convert off your mobile site. And I find that a lot of mobile conversions come by phone numbers, not by forms, because forms are a pain in the butt, especially if the marketing team has to ask 20 questions before the form can be submitted, which is not how it should be. Any other questions? I'll be in the happiness bar later if you want to ask more, but yeah, go ahead.
We recently relaunched a pretty content-heavy site that was very fragmented. It had a page for every small little bit of detail. So we did a lot of reorganization, kind of combining things. So we did a lot of 301 setup and redirects.
Yeah.
Is there any problem with just kind of picking the closest content? If there is no exact equivalent, in the new site,
Yeah.
you pick the, whatever's the closest, or may have some fragment of that content on the new.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. So the question for the video is, where do you send the 301 redirects? And the answer is the most relevant page, the closest page you can to what used to exist. Google recently explicitly came out and said, stop redirecting everything to your homepage, right? In fact, I was the worst at this. I'd be like, homepage. Send that to the homepage. No. But I will warn you, a lot of times, for some reason, there's this rumor going on in the SEO community, I don't get it, that you need to remove content from your site, like old content needs to be removed. And even if what happens is they say, I removed old content, but I set up 301 redirects, where did my traffic go? 301 redirects don't preserve traffic. They preserve link equity from other sites. So if your site no longer has that content, Google can't sink its teeth into that juicy content and serve up that page any longer. So the 301 redirects doesn't preserve content. I've seen news sites launched, they remove their old blog. It's generating a ton of traffic. Now, there's strategies to deal with that. How do we deal with old content? I wouldn't remove it unless it's completely wrong or obsolete. But I hope that answers your question. You're exactly right. Redirect it to the most relevant page that is currently on your new site. And that is the best practice from what John Muir says right now, latest in Google.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah.
Expertise.
Yeah.
Are you saying that it essentially evaluates the meaning of the content on the page, or are you talking about certification badges that are links back to the certification authority?
Yeah.
If I say I went to, I have a Harvard MBA and worked for NASA for 65 years, is it going to see that that's the NASA Harvard MBA and evaluate it that way, or is it?
I can't speak to how specific the algorithm works from an expertise, authority, and trust factor, and there's more to eat than is just on your site. The guidelines are the best way to go. But what I'm suggesting is the guidelines written for humans is where Google wants their algorithm to go. How Google evaluates expertise, authority from an algorithmic perspective, I'm not sure. I mean, they have a lot of machine learning. They know in content ideas. They're beyond keywords, right? They're not just looking at the words on the page. They're better at understanding what the page is about. So there's a way for the Google algorithm to evaluate whether or not this is a true trust factor or not. I don't know what that is, but we should, because the manual review guidelines say this is kind of the document saying this is where they want the algorithm to be. It might not be there yet, but why wouldn't? Even if we weren't talking about SEO, wouldn't we want to show people that we're experts? So while we're designing, let's just do it. And it's one of those things that's easy to do. Sometimes clients don't want to do it, but let's help them and we'll deliver a better product. Cool. I use images. Yeah, a little bit of both. The point is just establish authority. Yeah. All right. Thank you all for your time. Talk to you later.